Yo, is this working?
Are we up?
Are we up? Is this working?
I hope so.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on, boys?
Happy Thursday. What's going on, Rojo? What's going on, Slim?
Going on,
Slim, thank
Slim.
you for joining as a member.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming, member. We'll get you set up in Discord with some of those extra perks.
Absolutely.
And
I can do that right now.
Do it right now? There you go. John didn't know what Discord was a year ago, and now he loves it.
Boom.
Yeah, it looks like my I'm a little my I think my picture's a little distorted, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
You better not be
I'm
having
not this wide in real life.
Oh man.
I'm not this wide in real life. Promise.
Awesome.
Not that it matters, but just throwing it out there. I gotta make this best ball pick.
Yeah, chat working too. All right. We're ready to go.
I think we're good.
All right. Well, welcome to the Thursday stream.
Sir, happy Thursday. We're almost to the weekend, everybody.
It's been a grind for us this week. We had 3 straight streams for the first time ever.
And it's gonna stay that way too.
Yep.
Just taking a look at who I'm gonna take in this draft. This is stupid, but I'm gonna take a shot on Robbie Anderson.
Oh man, you're gonna regret it.
It's pick 187. I'm not like at this. There's no regrets at this point. You know. It's fine. And Slim, yeah, no, I knew Slim was. I've recognized the. Yep, there you go. Looks like he's all set up with the perks he needed.
Welcome to the club, man.
Sir, should be some additional content on the channel that you can check out, and if you care to, among other things. But thanks for becoming a member, Slim. Appreciate it. Happy to have you on board.
Yes, sir.
On board. I know you're here a lot, but on board. But yeah, what's going on? What do we got going on today?
Well, yesterday it was brought up. Somebody, I forget who it was, but somebody wanted to know what our rankings were for the incoming class of rookies for 2022, and we said that was going to be a video maybe that comes out soon. But I thought, why not? Let's talk about it today.
Let's just talk through it.
Yeah,
talk through it with everybody, and we can just kind of bounce ideas, feelings. All that good stuff
Talk
off
about
of each
different
other.
formats,
True.
Superflex versus 1 QB.
Yeah, my top 12 rankings shifted just today, which I mean is probably going to happen each day up to and through the NFL draft. But still fun to talk about. Still good to get an idea of where everybody stands prior to rookie drafts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to do some best balls. I got to get into some best balls with you. So the next time that you're doing a members only best ball, maybe I can join in and we could make a joint video, something like that.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I could do that, or we could do that. Could also see if we can set one up as like doing one live.
And Slim, you want to talk RAS? Well, hey.
You've come to the right place.
You've come to the right place, but you also become a member, so you have access to the 2 videos that I made within the past week and a half that deep dive specifically into RAS for different positions. So check those out.
Yep, they are available now to you. Little lunchtime viewing or something like that. I think they're both around like 10 minutes in length. Actually, you know what? Do it during work hours and then take your lunch.
Sure.
There you go.
Thinking ahead. Kill
2 birds with 1 stone. But yeah, We could talk top 12. That's right. Rojo made a trade earlier today. He sent, I don't know if you saw this, it was in the Discord. He sent Gabe Davis, and I think it was the 202 for the 109. I mean, if you can turn Gabe Davis, I know we'll all like Gabe Davis, but if you can turn him into a first-round pick, that's easy money.
Yeah, smart money.
Got to do it. You got to make it happen. If it includes a second-round pick, so be it.
I did not see that because I was working on this setup, making sure it was all perfect when y'all came in today. So, because we had some technical difficulties yesterday and then internet issues the day before. So, hopefully it's better moving forward. But, yeah, and I see your video's a little bit choppy. That's the next thing I'll work on. But, yeah, man, I think that's a good trade from what I hear. It's a good trade.
I'm with it. But yeah, let's get into some of these rookies. Let's get into the top 12 because we are less than a month away from the draft, which means we're probably about a month out from everybody's rookie drafts. And you could hold them at any time. It feels in the spirit of Dynasty, it makes sense to me to hold the rookie draft as soon after the NFL draft as you possibly can.
Yeah.
You know? With that said, I think we both have a consensus 101 regardless of format. Jelani
Woods. No, it's it's Breece Hall.
It's Breece, and I don't think we have to spend too much time on him, to be completely honest. I have a hard time believing there's anybody who doesn't have Breece ranked as their number one. He's a layup for a workhorse role. I don't care where he ends up. And he's wherever he goes, it's not gonna be like, well, will it be a committee? I mean, maybe for a game or two, but he's gonna soak up the volume in whatever backfield he ends up with, and I don't care about the landing spot.
Yeah, I mean, 4.39 40 time, 98th percentile speed score, 95th percentile burst score, college dominator rating in the 81st percentile. In the 95th percentile, and the college target share was in the 81st percentile, so I was wrong there. But he's only 20 years old, so he's got a better profile than Najee Harris, and he's considerably younger than Najee Harris was coming into the league. He's not quite a Saquon Barkley level talent, but he's a step below that. A Zeke Henry level, or Zeke Henry, Ezekiel Elliott level. Prospect. I think that's about right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's legit. He's a stud. He's going to be an anchor for your team regardless. Regardless of where he ends up. So, Easy layup, regardless of format. Doesn't matter. I don't care about the scoring. I don't care if it's super flex. Breece Hall should be the 101 in drafts. Who you got at number 2?
It depends on the format.
Okay.
It does depend on the
format.
Doesn't.
It officially, for me, does not matter.
I mean, for me, in 2 QB leagues, super flex leagues, it has to be Malik Willis still. It does.
Okay.
I know you believe differently.
I do, slightly. You want me to dive in or get into it a little bit?
Yeah, go for it. The floor is yours.
I had Malik Willis at number 2 for the longest time in Superflex formats. I think I'm pivoting off of that. And I know that this guy was not as dominant in college as Breece Hall. I can't ignore him. I got Garrett Wilson as my consensus too. And I think I'm kind of locking that in. Tentatively, if the landing spot is like atrociously bad, which I can't even think of where that might be, like maybe Atlanta, and I don't even know how atrociously bad that would be. His opportunity would be phenomenal as far as like no competition. Sub 4.4 in the 40. By every yardage metric, was one of the most efficient wide receivers in college on a team with Chris Olave and I'm blanking. Smith and Jigba. I think he led the Buckeyes in pretty much every advanced yardage metric. Ideal size for the type of wide receiver that I like. had a young breakout age of around 20. The college dominator score isn't quite there, but commanded a very healthy target share. The speed score, the burst score, they're good. They're not elite, but they're above average. I'm not sure that Malik Willis ends up in a situation where, and you alluded to this previously, where he starts right away. It could be a Trey Lance type of situation. Now, obviously, for dynasty purposes, we're worried about the long term. So I understand why a lot of people in Superflex leagues are going to have him over him. But if he is still very much a project, I mean, look at Trey Lance now.
But the fact is that it doesn't matter. You can still trade Trey Lance for more than what if you're trading Trey Lance, you're expecting to get back Elijah Moore plus.
Sure.
And a lot of that has to do with his landing spot too, because his landing spot was the perfect landing spot for a player like him. And it's not a guarantee that Malik Willis is going to go to a team fit that is as perfect as Trey Lance's fit is in San Francisco.
Yeah. And I still think he eventually takes over, even if it's not.
But still, just even if Garrett Wilson comes in and he has Elijah Moore's first year, he has Elijah Moore's first it's going to take more than just Elijah Moore to turn that into Trey Lance, which is why, for me, I still have Malik Willis first. Because even if Malik Willis becomes a project, you can still, if you want to move off him, probably trade for somebody you really like at wide receiver plus, and not just get Garrett Wilson, who we're all in love with, but is still a question mark. And there is a good chance where you could trade Malik Willis into Garrett Wilson plus in a year.
There's a chance.
So in Superflex, yeah, I got to put Malik Willis above Garrett Wilson just because upside at the most important position. And it is a scarce position.
This year, yeah.
Well, generally speaking, there's only 32 jobs.
Right, yeah.
It's not like running back where you can have RB33, RB34, and still expect them to put up some kind of fantasy points weekly. You can't say that for quarterback. So, yeah.
Fair enough.
I love Garrett Wilson.
I believe in the talent. In the talent. And maybe it's bold.
But again, positional scarcity with wide receivers, that is the most available position yearly, and has been. And honestly, it's become a deeper position as the team has opened up and do more passing league. That's only going to continue to happen. I think just positional value, I would rather have a quarterback there that has the upside of a better Jalen Hurts, who at times was a top 3 fantasy quarterback last season.
Yeah, okay. I mean,
and
I have him
better
third.
At the areas where Jalen Hurts is deficient.
He has a cannon for an arm.
Right.
Yeah. No, I understand. I understand the appeal. I'm going out on a limb a little bit.
Third, I do have Garrett Wilson.
All right, so we have I have Willis third, so we have him flip flopped.
And in one QB, I have Garrett Wilson second.
Yeah, okay, I definitely have him too.
That might surprise some people because this is the first time you've heard on this channel that both of us are in agreement that Treylon Burks is not the wide receiver 1 in this class.
Not for us. I mean, I still like Burks. I'm not trying. It's not trying to be an indictment on Burks. I love Wilson.
I think it comes down to risk tolerance. How much are you willing to go out on a limb and draft a guy like Burks who could turn into? I made a whole video on how he's not N'Keal Harry.
Right.
But what if he turns into who I think he could turn into Devontae Parker? What if he's Devontae Parker? I don't see any world in which Garrett Wilson is anything less than a Devontae Parker-like player. It comes down to risk tolerance for me. And that's why I have Garrett Wilson now ahead of Treylon Burks.
There you go.
Because I still believe in Treylon Burks' upside. I do, especially
I do
if
too.
he goes to the right
do as well.
situation. And a lot of that is going to be landing spot dependent.
Mm-hmm.
But we won't know until we know. So, in a vacuum, I'm going with the safe pick, Garrett Wilson.
At 2, yeah, I agree. Or 3.
Yep, depending on the format.
So we have so that's our top 3 in Superflex. That's our top 3. We're both in agreement on the names. We just have 2 and 3 flip-flopped. Really quickly, some of the comments in the chat about Derek Stingley. Yeah, he had his pro day today. Was in consideration to be drafted much higher last year, right? Still expected to go in the top half of the first round despite the injury. Yeah, I mean, kid should be really good.
Yeah.
Went up in practice against the likes of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. I can't think of better seasoning in college.
I wish it was going to last somewhere to around where the Bills pick at 25, but he's not going to be there.
No shot.
No shot. He's going to go early.
Yeah. The pro day, you know, there's only so much you can do at a pro day as far as boosting your stock, but it was already high for him. Running a sub 4.4 pretty much confirms he's good to go. He's healthy. It's just a matter of where. I would be surprised if he's there at pick, like, say, 15 or 16. You know?
Yeah.
Slim, as far as the Broncos saying they'll look to add another running back in the draft, I must have missed that little tidbit, but
you
would
mean Baltimore? Not the Broncos. Oh, no. Broncos. I see it.
The Denver. It wouldn't be Hall or Walker, I would think.
I think that's a smokescreen. I don't think that's a real thing. You alluded to it yesterday too. I mean, we both kind of think that's a smokescreen.
I mean, the Broncos officially don't have a ton of needs, but also they don't have a ton of draft capital. They traded a good bit of it away for Russell Wilson. What are the Broncos picks this year, actually? I'm going to look that up really quick. If you could, what's the Baltimore, that Baltimore could add a running back.
Yeah. I think the Broncos are going to add somebody. I just don't think Baltimore is going to add somebody. Unless they're really worried about Gus Edwards coming back. Maybe they're all set on J.K. Dobbins coming back and that they have all the confidence in the world that he's going to come back and be fine. But maybe Gus Edwards has an issue, and they don't want to rely on a guy like Devonta Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very good possibility that Baltimore does draft one, but it's not going to be early.
No. The Broncos have a couple more picks than I thought. They have the last pick of the second round, so number 64, which was acquired in the trade. Or sorry, they acquired that from the Rams. That's dumb. That must have been the Von Miller deal. They have the 64th pick, and then they have 2 picks in the 3rd round, and then another 2 picks in the 4th round. Yeah, I would think that's a prime spot for the Broncos to add a running back, but you might be looking at an Isaiah Spiller situation. And if that's the guy, I feel like we're not worried about Javonte then in that scenario.
No, they didn't they have Royce Freeman on their team for a long time?
I mean, they drafted him in the 3rd round.
There you go. He's Royce Freeman 2.0.
Yikes.
That would be very, very bad news for Mike Boone, and that's about it.
Sure. Who we're already saying you can probably safely drop regardless. Yeah. You know.
And we like handcuffs, but there's no way he's going to be the handcuff.
As far as the Ravens 2022 draft picks, they have their first. Or do they have a couple because of the trade they made with Kansas City last year? Is that the Orlando Brown trade? No, they only have one. Oh, I think they got that pick for 2021, so they used it already. So the Ravens have the 14th pick overall. That's not going to be a running back. Then they have number 45 overall. The Ravens struggled pretty good on defense last year, and I know the Ravens were one of those teams that got absolutely snake bitten by injuries. I would think those first 2 picks are used on defense. Now they have 2 third-round picks, and they have 5 fourth-rounders. So, yeah, I mean, they might be a type of team. You know who would make sense for them? Like a Brian Robinson. Like an Algiers. Like a I feel like that's a type of player that would complement, the J.K. Dobbins of the world. They're not going to take Breece Hall, and I don't think they're not the type of organization that strikes me as a team that, like, I think you would have to trade up from number 45 if you wanted Kenneth Walker. So I don't think they're a candidate for either of those two guys.
No, I don't think so either.
So, yeah, they could add somebody with, like, they have 5 fourth-round picks. I guess they could use that they could use those 5 fourth-rounders as ammunition to trade up if they want to. But if they're trading up, I can't imagine it's for a running back.
It'd be interesting to see them get a guy like Rashad White.
Trending up.
And Slim, we need the astrology, so definitely get us that post rookie draft too.
Yeah, I need to know who's going to have big time connections this year based on when they were born. This is the hard hitting stuff we require.
Rojo Fish Corral has been my number 1 quarterback since mid-season last year, and I'm not budging. All right. I like that he has slipped a bit. Happily take him at the end of the first, early second.
And I mean, it's if you can. I mean, I think you have like the 9, the 10, and or you have 9, 10, and then also the 201. I mean, Corral. I guess it depends on the teams around you, right? But depending on team need, and quarterbacks are always going to rise, not just in the NFL draft, but in Superflex rookie formats as well. But depending on who needs what, could push a good player down to 201. Therefore, you can.
I think Matt Corral is Ryan Fitzpatrick with legs.
No, that would be good.
I think he's Ryan Fitzpatrick with legs. He's a gunslinger with a strong arm, who makes
risk taker.
Risk taker who makes bad moves, makes mistakes, and isn't afraid to make mistakes because he trusts his arm so much. But he also has very good rushing upside. So I kind of like investing in a guy like him.
And he should be there.
Yeah.
At the end of the first round, even in Superflex leagues.
Beginning of the second, I think. Yeah.
I don't know if he falls that far. And again, if he gets drafted and
Malik Willis has got to go ahead of him. Can he pick it?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, what we also don't know, what the $1 million question is, at least today on April 7th, is who do the NFL teams like and how high do these guys go? Because we know that in addition to Willis, Corral and Pickett are first rounders. It's just a matter of where.
Right. If Corral goes to the Saints, he's not going to beat out Jameis Winston. He's not.
Probably not.
But he'll be a great candidate to start next season. And for somebody who would be starting next season, you're paying a second round pick. You're not paying a first. Unless they're Trey Lance level prospect. And Matt Corral is not that. So
no. But he's sneaky in that regard.
Yeah.
Like long-term sneaky value.
I mean, everybody is also really, really high on Desmond Ridder. Like, the news has spread about Desmond Ridder.
Ridder is skyrocketing right now. He's going to be a first-round pick as well.
Yeah, we'll talk about him later, but because of Desmond Ridder rising so much, Matt Corral has been pushed down, and now he is a very good value. I believe you can definitely get him with the 201. I don't think you need to draft him with 110, 109.
Unless a team
you absolutely want to.
Well, if a team like Seattle ends up with him, then it's like, okay, you're gonna have to spend a first on him. And the 109 might be too late in that scenario. That's one of the teams where you could look at and go, oh, he's starting day one.
And Slim, if you could get Breece at 103, my God.
That's highway robbery.
That's wild.
That's highway robbery. And real quick, Rojo just mentioned as someone who has Javonte. Yeah, you would rather them take a rookie because I don't think the Broncos invest more than a 4th round pick on a complimentary depth player. Melvin Gordon at this point would still probably, that's one more year of taking a good chunk of work away from Javonte.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think that's what they would look to do. I don't think they spend a second-round pick. Again, the Broncos have pick 64. Kenneth Walker's not lasting till then. And then after that, I don't care who they end up potentially add to that backfield, including Spiller. If it were Spiller, it's like, okay, fine. Javonte's the significantly better player here.
Yeah, then you're buying Javonte. Really.
Yeah.
If somebody's really low on Spiller being drafted there, the year after Javonte was drafted there, and they just paid a king's ransom to get him on their team, and they're just like, oh man, this sucks.
See if you can get a first round. See if you can spend a first round pick for Javonte.
Yeah, post draft if somebody like Spiller goes there.
If that's the scenario, and I know we've talked a lot about the 2023 class, would you trade a 2023 first if that was all it would take to get Javonte Williams?
Easy.
Yeah, I was going to say I would too.
Easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But let's get back to these rankings. We went through 103 in every, did we?
Yeah.
No,
well,
not in 1QB. In 1QB, my third ranked player is Kenneth Walker.
I agree.
The scarcity at running back it hits you after the first two running backs in this draft, and you got to go and get that number 2 guy, or else you're going to be dealing with some sort of cliff.
Yeah.
It's not like wide receiver where you can wait and maybe somebody falls to you that had a really good landing spot and just explodes off the charts early in the second round. But you're not getting a running back who you're not getting a Kenneth Walker level running back anywhere after Kenneth Walker. So draft him.
Just take him and find a wide receiver later.
Yeah.
Or literally anything else. Yeah, I agree.
4.38 40 time, 96th percentile speed score, 21 years old, 1,636 yard senior season. The only knock on him is he has a 5% target share in college.
Right.
So he's a rusher.
He did not catch the ball. Right.
He's a slightly smaller rusher. In the pros, I'm thinking Miles Sanders.
Well, Miles Sanders has proven he can catch the ball. I was thinking more along the lines of like a Damian Harris.
Yeah, him too.
Like a Damian Harris who does not really catch the ball at all, but was still effective. Is still effective. Can still be effective.
Yeah. He's a shiftier Damian Harris.
So there you go. Yeah, I mean, and then there's a big fall off at the position. So, if the target share scares you off and you prefer a guy like Burks, I can't knock that too much, but you better be strong at running back to make that move. Like if I'm loaded at running back with good young running backs, maybe a vet or two, just and I'm competing, and I could use a rookie or I use a young wide receiver. Okay, I could see Burks at 3, but that's a very specific scenario.
And we talk a lot about not letting landing spot dictate where somebody goes for you in your drafts.
Right.
Because we're going to be using CEH as a cautionary tale from here until forever. But you're allowed to make little movements after you know where somebody goes in the draft. Now, my limit is usually 2 spots because I don't want to get too crazy on landing spots. So 2-spot jump. The problem with CEH is we moved him from RB6 to RB1. It's too far of a jump, but a movement of 2 spots, if you would have moved CEH up to RB4, if you were drafting 101, you would have never got him and you would have been fine.
Yeah.
So at pick 4 for me, I'm almost wondering at this point if it would be smart again, risk tolerance to go Chris Olave over Treylon Burks.
Wow.
I'm not saying I'm there yet.
I don't think I could do it.
I'm thinking about it, which is crazy.
It's on your radar. Yeah, I like Olave a lot as well, and he has gone from a guy. It's like, well, maybe he's available at the turn or at the the 112 201 turn to no, he's a clear first rounder. It's just a matter of we need to see where he ends up.
And I think he's going to go to a good team. That's the other thing.
because he'll go in the back half of the first round.
I believe so, yes.
Of the NFL draft. Yeah. Sets himself up, or he's set up well for early success given the situation he steps into. I could see
Treylon Burks is going to go early. Garrett Wilson, I think Treylon Burks is going to go early.
Yeah.
I think Garrett Wilson is going to go relatively early. I think Drake London is going to go relatively early. I think he's going to go earlier than Olave. I think Jameson Williams has a chance to go over Olave if a team really falls in love with his specific skill set. It's a possibility. We've seen stranger things happen. So Chris Olave could fly under the radar, go to a really good team, and at that point, he'd be my wide receiver 2 in this draft. If Treylon Burks went to the Lions.
Which won't happen, but I see the point.
But you know what I'm saying.
I see the point you're making. Just like a
Washington.
worse overall.
If he went to Washington, I wouldn't love where Treylon Burks ended up.
Yeah, that's fair.
So yeah, I mean Olave might be there at 4 for me, right? But right now I'm not willing to go there. So right now for me, in both formats, Treylon Burks is
still
pick
Burks.
4, and then at pick 5 it is Olave.
I think that's what I have as well. Yeah,
actually in Superflex, no, it's Kenneth Walker then Olave.
Right, yeah, Walker ahead of Olave.
Because we haven't mentioned Kenneth Walker as far as Superflex rankings go. Because we went Breece Hall, you went Garrett Wilson, I went Malik Willis, then we flipped on 3. And I had Garrett Wilson, you had Malik Willis at 3. Treylon Burks
Walker
at 4.
Oh, you have Burks ahead of Walker.
Ahead of Walker? Yeah.
I thought you had Walker ahead of Burks.
I flip-flop daily on that too, but today I have Treylon Burks ahead of Kenneth Walker there.
Okay.
Because again, if Kenneth Walker is shiftier Damian Harris, that means he'll be a very productive running back for my team. But he's never going to have the ceiling of Javonte Williams, for one, or some of these other running backs that we're just clearly going to rank higher.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So because of that, we like Kenneth Walker a lot.
Yep.
But because he doesn't come with guaranteed pass catching upside, no team's ever going to put him into that role. He'll be a little bit more of a bit player in the NFL unless his college team just never asked him to do it and he's really good at it, which is a possibility. In which case, we're underestimating Kenneth Walker a lot. But at this point, you gotta I gotta put Treylon Burks ahead of Kenneth Walker because Kenneth Walker does have warts, not works.
Yeah, no, it's. I hate to use the term like red flag, but that's what it is. The fact that they did not throw him the ball at Michigan State is something that has to be taken into account. And I saw this on Twitter today with I think it was JJ Zachariason, who is a phenomenal follow on Twitter. He called this out. He loves Kenneth Walker, loves the prospect, really excited for his long-term outlook. This is a glaring issue.
I didn't even know he called it out. So, okay.
He did literally today. He was having a conversation about it on Twitter because people were like, there were a lot of Spartans fans chiming in saying, well, it wasn't a part of the game plan. And he was like, I know.
That's like, part of the issue. Yeah.
I understand it's not part of the game plan. Like we've heard it. We've seen it. But why was it not part of a game plan? Like, we're not at like, oh, it wasn't a part of their scheme. Why wasn't it a part of their scheme?
And it wasn't even the senior year when he went through the transfer portal and then went to a different team and burst on the scene with that 1,636 yards.
Yeah.
Which is crazy in one season.
Fantastic.
But he had 3 seasons before that where he didn't break out, nor did he have an insane college target share in those seasons either. It was a trait that stuck with him throughout his entire college career. Yeah. Did not get used in the pass game a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Is he Jordan Howard? Like,
Jordan Howard's had some productive seasons.
Yeah, he did, but that's a 2-year and then you're done type of running back. And
I think Walker's a better prospect than, because Jordan Howard was like a 6th round draft pick. Walker's going to go much higher than that.
Walker might be just shiftier Jordan Howard, though. Like somebody who's not quite David Montgomery.
I would take a poor man's David Montgomery.
I would too, but when we're
Montgomery's a much better pass catcher.
When we're talking this teardrop, there's really a teardrop after RB1, and then there's the next best guy in Kenneth Walker.
Yeah.
Who is probably going to be an RB2, but he's not an RB1, and then there's a teardrop is kind of what I'm
Is
saying
his
here.
ceiling, and I'm by no means, I think we're on the same page here. We're not trying to poo-poo him entirely, but like,
no, still we still
my
have him
glass
ranked
half
very
full.
high.
Here's my glass half full. Like, could he be Josh Jacobs?
Could he be Chris Carson, a less violent rusher, but Chris Carson?
Okay.
Chris Carson, again, the draft capital, very, very different. But as far
Chris
as
Carson
being
was
a pure rusher early in his career, who was just a better rusher than everybody else they ever tried to bring in and supplant him with, but was never that pass-catching running back until year 4, because he needed to add that to his repertoire, and then got injured, and that sucks for him. But he was a borderline RB1. He was a high-end RB2, a discount, a value guy for his entire career in fantasy. But he was never a pass catcher until the last 2 years, year and a half of his career. I haven't looked at the athletic comparisons at all there, so I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I off the top of my head, I don't know about that, but
I'm checking that out right now.
He's still worthy of top 5 consideration regardless of format. I think that's fair to say. So at the end of the day, you're still putting Burks ahead of him.
Yeah.
I guess I would too.
Again,
but I'm
you have the ceiling of the RB1 in this class, and with a guy like Walker, you're never going to get the ceiling of the RB1 in this class. I mean, wide receiver 1, you know what I mean?
If he turns out to be like a poor man's Josh Jacobs, I have no problem taking him at the 105.
He's a different guy than Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs is not fast at all, and
he's not.
Carson is not fast at all either. So
right.
Maybe that was a bad comparison there too. He's hard to kind of pigeonhole.
I'm just thinking about a guy who's like he is a rusher of the football, but you're not necessarily relying on him week to week for that pass catching volume. Not even volume.
That's the thing. Those guys don't have. You don't see a lot of those guys for very long in the NFL.
There's only a few.
He profiles like a Melvin Gordon or a Melvin Gordon that doesn't catch the passes.
Yeah.
Which is scary. It is. Because he's a better athlete than Damian Harris. He's a better athlete than Chris Carson. He is. I'm
still willing to say he's ahead of I would still put him top 5. And maybe the positional scarcity is playing into that a little bit, but also I think he's a good prospect who is going to end up, I think, depending on landing spot, taking a shot at or having a shot at of becoming, as soon as his rookie year, the 1A in a committee.
I would love for him to go to Arizona.
I would hate that. Because as much as I think we've been off James Conner, I keep coming. This was brought up on Twitter also. Yes, James Conner's not scoring 18 touchdowns again, but he just got paid. The Cardinals just paid him. I think James Conner remains the 1A, even if they draft somebody like Kenneth Walker.
I think he would turn into their 1B, and they would use him like a satellite back, because they realize that, yes, James Conner is good, but he is always nicked up at some point in the season. You cannot rely on him for a 16-game season, much less 17 games now that it's 17 games, or in the playoffs if they expect to be in the playoffs, which I'm guessing they're hoping that they're going to get into the playoffs, especially with
absolutely
Kyler Murray, Young, and all that stuff.
Right, yeah.
So it would behoove them, just like it would behoove the Carolina Panthers to manage the reps of a guy like Christian McCaffrey. It would behoove the Arizona Cardinals to manage the reps of a guy like James Conner, even though he's not the type of guy that we typically think of with managed reps. But now he's there. He was used in the pass game when Chase Edmonds was not available last year, and he did very well in that respect. That was where a lot of his fantasy value came from. If they can bring in a guy like Kenneth Walker, who is a pure rusher, and he takes on the heavy-duty role, and they back off the heavy-duty between the tackles touches for James Conner, that would be within their best interest. And then what are we looking at? A Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon split, which I would be fine with. Again, they were both productive. Low key, Chase Edmonds and James Conner were both productive. They were both RB2s in the same offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then one got injured and one went off to the races until he got injured in James Conner. So yeah, I wouldn't hate the Arizona landing spot at all.
Just can't ignore the contract. That's all. I mean, maybe just like for year one anyway. Just wanted to call that out. Still top 5 option for me.
So is this where you pick Drake London at 6?
No, but really quick, we got a question from Young Guns about trading the top 2 picks this year for Jamar Chase.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you're talking about the Dynasty wide receiver 1.
If it's only going to take 2 firsts and you don't have to give up anything else,
I think
when
so.
the certainty is only 1 pick deep in this draft.
Right, you're giving up the opportunity to take Breece Hall.
Right.
Who are your running backs? That would be my question for you, Young Guns. Who are your running backs?
I don't think it matters for me.
I'm just curious. We like to talk through these situations just to make sure. Who are your running backs? Because you're giving up the opportunity to draft Breece Hall plus a piece. That being said, I think I would do it. I would say, yeah, like give me Jamar Chase, give me the Dynasty
without thinking. If I don't have
give
to
me
give
the
up
Dynasty
3
wide
assets
receiver
for
1.
the wide receiver, the Dynasty young wide receiver 1 tied to a great quarterback who just upgraded his O-line.
Right.
Like I don't know. I only have to pay up 2 at
2 firsts.
2 draft picks, and like none of them are future assets, so I can just wipe the board clean and move forward with my new wide receiver
with
1.
Chase.
Right, you're not thinking, oh, I'm losing this pick in 2023. Yeah, just pay the price.
Just do it.
Who would you pick at 102? Would you pick Treylon Burks? You're hoping Treylon Burks turns into some kind of lesser version of Jamar Chase.
65% of Jamar Chase, or
right.
70%
so
of Jamar Chase.
Pay the star running back. You're technically paying fair price for a player you honestly don't often get fair price for, because people want you to overpay for a guy like Jamar Chase. That's actually perfect value. You're giving up a stud running back and what should be a stud wide receiver for the best wide receiver in the game. That's market value. Yeah. And it looks like a bargain because nobody's it looks like a bargain. It's probably a fair deal.
He's got Gibson and
it's
Carter.
The only time you're ever gonna see a fair deal trade for Jamar Chase.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. Gibson, year 3. I'm high on him this year. Carter, I like Carter. I do. The Jets feel like a candidate to add a running back.
Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb and Antonio Gibson and Michael Carter. Those are the makings of a great team that's going to be good for a long time.
Or at least another 3-4 years. I mean, the running backs, we'll see what happens.
You won't have to reevaluate those wide receivers for 6 years.
No,
Your top 2 guys. Do it.
Yeah. I think you got to. A real quick, Slim, I see your first question about...
Why not?
I see your first question about the Jacobs trade, but as far as Chase over Jefferson for the top receiver for Dynasty, I mean, flip a coin because Jefferson is excellent. Jefferson's phenomenal. I would say there's a little bit more long-term uncertainty about who Jefferson's quarterback is going to be. That's all. But at the end of the day, do we really care who Justin Jefferson's quarterback? Unless it's Drew Lock.
If you're thinking about like this year, specifically this year, for 2022, Jefferson's going to be the guy.
You can put
if you're in redraft or best ball, I would rather have Jefferson as my dynasty wide receiver 1 than Chase. But if you're going long term and you're in a dynasty league and you're looking at dynasty rankings, Chase is 1.
Chase.
because he's tied to Burrow.
Yeah. Right.
But the air yard share and the overall target share for Justin Jefferson is going to be astronomical next year, just like it was last year. He was, I think, 1 or 2 in air yards, and between him and the next guy, it wasn't even close. I believe he was 2,000 something air yards.
That's stupid.
Yeah. I mean, and Thielen continues to stay healthy, and we've been advocating going out and getting Thielen. But what happens if Thielen picks up an injury at 32 years old?
Which
Justin Jefferson is going to get even more of an air yard share.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about a layup for 150 targets, regardless of what happens with Adam Thielen. Yeah, I mean, Jefferson's fantastic.
Jefferson for 2022, Chase for 2023 and beyond.
And forever. Yeah, I agree.
But now I want to hear you take a poop all over everybody's Drake London love.
No, I don't want to. Well, really quick, we got some time. We'll address the questions in the chat. First of all, Young Guns, thanks for tuning in.
Hell yeah,
appreciate it. But Slim had a question about trading Jacobs. And
I already said yes, I would do that.
Oh, I didn't hear you say that. Did I miss that?
I would do that.
Jacobs and the 106. Yeah, I think I would too. Because the 106 is going to be either Chris Olave or Drake London. You know?
If it's Chris Olave, you might end up kicking yourself. If it's Drake London, you're probably going to be fine.
Look who's warming up to the Drake London hate.
I was never off it, bro.
You're off. Okay.
I was the first guy to come to you and tell you that he technically compared to an Equinemius St. Brown.
Oof. Yeah.
And everybody wants to compare him to Michael Pittman Jr. because, like, when you look at the eye test, yes, it looks like the same player because you see him out on the field and they're basically the same height, but also same skin color. So your brain automatically goes to that looks like Michael Pittman or Mike Evans, and that's not necessarily the case.
People do that.
I've been trying to break out of that with my comps, but it's hard because it's hard not to see Baker Mayfield 2.0 when you look at Sam Howell. It is because he looks like Baker Mayfield. He does. So it's hard. I get it. It's hard.
That's where your brain naturally goes. Yeah, no, I understand. But yeah.
That's why the comparisons like Matt Corral looking like Ryan Fitzpatrick with legs, like those are the kinds of comparisons I'm trying to make.
Fair enough. Max, what's going on? Khalid,
what's going on,
Max?
What's going on,
Thanks for joining, guys. Good to see everybody.
You got the 101 and the 103. Who should I be looking for around 3?
Around the 301.
Yeah.
Jelani Woods.
I mean, him or Kevin White. We talked about Kevin White a few days ago. We like Kevin White a lot.
Or not Kevin White.
Kevin Harris. So I'm sorry. Kevin
Harris. That's right. Kevin White.
Yeah.
Kevin White's the Bears wide receiver who never
Kevin
happened.
Harris at running back. We like him a lot.
Somebody like that. If you miss
so
on
it's Jelani Woods, Christian Watson, Jalen Tolbert, and then Kevin Harris.
Like a Brian Robinson, maybe.
Not in on him.
Not in on Brian Robinson? I thought people liked him.
No.
I mean, I'm personally interested in Wandale.
I think he'll be a very good all-around backup.
Okay.
Might be overdrafted.
I don't hate Wandale. Taking a chance on a speedy guy. But if you can afford to wait,
Sky more than Rondale or Wandale.
Did you hear your squad is interested in him?
Yeah.
The Bills are interested in adding Sky Moore. Could be a smoke screen. You can,
teams. He's
I believe almost nothing when I hear those types of reports because it could be a smoke screen, and oftentimes is. But can't help but they still get the juices flowing. Those reports, your favorite team's interested in such and such. Well, now I gotta love that guy. But anyway, yeah, I don't. Does he last the 301? He feels like a prime second round pick.
He could be a second round pick. He could last to 301, man. Stranger things have happened.
If Sky Moore is there at 301,
I got Kadarius Toney with the 301 in a 1 QB league last year. And he was a first round pick wide receiver.
Well, the narrative around that
I know there was a
second they made that pick was like the Giants reached.
Yeah, well, all it takes is for Sky Moore to get a little bit of bad press, and then he's there around 103.
And then everybody wants to avoid him because the draft experts don't like him.
Picks up an injury before your draft, and then he's not going to be available for the first 6 games. Third round pick. That's all it takes.
Right, and what's 6
games? We don't wish that upon
Dynasty?
Him at all, but he could technically be there at 301. But the players that I'm looking at there realistically, Christian Watson, if he's still there, definitely a Jalen Tolbert. We like Jalen Tolbert a lot. Haven't spoken about him very much of late, but he would make my top 24 prospects for absolutely sure.
Okay.
And Kevin White or Harris.
You gotta stop saying Kevin White.
I gotta stop saying Kevin White.
Back in the day, Kevin White was one of your. Kevin White was one of your. Well, I think that was when we started like doing keeper leagues for the first time, and you really started going down those like this prospect rabbit hole. And he was a guy you liked at first, or
Kevin White. No, it wasn't him.
I thought you liked Kevin White. I mean,
no.
Look, it wasn't for poor. I mean,
Josh
that
Gordon,
guy.
Man.
Well, okay, fine.
That was the original guy for me. That's the guy that got
OG.
me into the whole prospect profile type dude.
Looking into a guy before. Yeah, okay, got it.
It was Josh Gordon.
All right, fair enough.
It all started with Josh Gordon.
Everything starts and ends. Life itself starts and ends with Josh Gordon.
I got high on Josh Gordon for a few years. The irony.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to think of something clever to say, but then you said the irony, and I said, okay, there you go.
And yo, Max, KJ Osborne is the play for Dynasty. He's the replacement for Thielen, and Thielen's getting older.
I don't disagree with that. I
don't agree with that.
See, I think Osborne
just because a guy is there.
Yeah,
doesn't
I think
mean
Osborne's
that he's
set
the
up
next Thielen.
No, he's not the next Thielen, and I don't think that's what he's. He's just the replacement, maybe from a
priority.
perspective.
I think they could make a priority in this draft and just go and get a wide receiver that they like in this draft. They extended Kirk Cousins because they know that there's a drop-off coming for this team as far as the competitive window. And Kirk Cousins, while he's not great, is the best chance they have to get there. They're not going to find a quick fix at quarterback without investing too much.
He'll be 25.
So all it takes is Adam Thielen hits a cliff, yes, and then KJ Osborne sees more work. But we already saw him in a year where Adam Thielen did miss a few games. Irv Smith was out the entire year, and they were relying on Tyler Conklin the entire year. They tried the Amir Smith-Marset game, and that didn't work at all. So KJ Osborne got a fair amount of work.
He got 82 targets in his age 24 season.
I think it might have been a thing where they got to look at him, and they just like it's not enough, and they go all out and get another wide receiver opposite him.
I don't know about that.
Opposite Jefferson to learn under Thielen for one season.
I like Osborne for at least the next couple of seasons, and definitely this year. I am excited about the prospects of this Vikings offense. I've said that numerous times on the stream, and I'll say it all off season long as many times as I have to. They are getting out of the curmudgeon-y offense of Mike Zimmer's coaching staff. That ancient, archaic philosophy of run the ball, and then or run the ball, first down, second down, and third down quarterback save us. Like, this is going to be an offense. This is an offense and now an offense and a front office that is fully embracing the 21st century as it pertains to offensive philosophy. This team is going to throw the ball more often than they have in years, because Mike Zimmer was the coach there for how long? A while. 5-6 years. And I know he wasn't the offensive coordinator, but he was the one hiring the guys. Their offensive coordinator now, who is the Vikings offensive coordinator? I almost said it was the Packers old quarterbacks coach, but it's not. It was Wes
Phillips. Yep.
Yeah, where did he come from? I'm sorry. The head coach was a Rams assistant. Was he the Rams offensive coordinator?
Isn't everybody who has a job in the NFL right now?
All I know is all you need to do is come from the Rams offensive system and be like, okay, I can feel a little bit better about your prospects than Mike freaking Zimmer and whatever his offense was, which was, again, run the ball, and then hope for the best on third down. I think KJ Osborne is a prime example of a guy who I think takes a step forward in his third year, right? We love third-year wideouts.
Do we still love third-year wideouts? Are we all the way out on third-year wideouts by the time they get to their third year at this point in...
Maybe you are.
I mean, when you look at a wide receiver now, if they're not good within their first 2 years, they end up being Tyler Johnson.
No.
They do. They do, dude.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, Mike Williams just got paid. He didn't do a whole lot
but he was also a first-round top 10, I believe, draft pick. There's a difference there, too. We're talking about KJ Osborne, 5th-round draft pick.
Yeah, 5th-round draft pick who got 80-plus targets last year. I think he's a sneaky... I'm not sitting here saying he's going to be a wide receiver 2.
I don't even think he's going to be a wide receiver 3. I think KJ Osborne is a wide receiver 4 for your fantasy team. Moving forward, I don't think there is a chance for him to be a wide receiver 3 outside of extreme injury for the Vikings and them completely just ignoring the wide receiver position in the draft, something which they've done historically for a long time. When's the last time the Vikings put in outside of Justin Jefferson, put in a high draft capital for a wide receiver, and it...
Well, where'd they draft Diggs?
I mean, was it Laquan Treadwell? Wasn't he a Viking?
Yeah.
At first? Yeah, that's their... Okay, so they have one guy, Cordell Patterson. Wasn't...
I thought the Bears drafted him, or maybe they didn't. Again, not sure, I don't disagree with you that he's maybe like your team's wide receiver 4, but that doesn't mean he can't be a high upside wide receiver 3. I think this offense is moving in the right direction. That's all I'll say. The Vikings offense is moving in the right direction, and we are in agreement that Kirk Cousins is good enough to support these players, multiple players, relative to expectations.
I think they make him at best their 4th wide receiver for another season.
Okay. What are their draft picks? They need defensive help. They have the 12th overall pick. I mean, we were talking about Stingley earlier. They could absolutely go get him. Number 46 overall. I mean, sure, I guess. And then they have number 77 overall. So they have 1 pick each in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Yeah, they could add a wide receiver there. They could also add more defensive help because they just had to re-sign Patrick Peterson, who is burnt toast. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and Slim, I'm really high on Christian Watson too.
He's that athlete.
Yeah, I'm not. There is a limit to where I'm gonna go up. How far I do go up and get him. I do start thinking about him around 206 in Superflex, because I mean I like him a lot.
Seems like a good
But in
spot.
Superflex, you should not be drafting a quarterback, or you should not be drafting him over a quarterback, unless the quarterbacks on the board are Bailey Zappi at that point.
Sorry, Bailey.
But no, I mean, I like Christian Watson a lot. And he is a boom bust prospect, but he has a chance to be very boom in that category. Compares to a DJ Chark athletically. But,
the athletic profile is strong.
He could be Tyrell Williams. He could be DJ Chark. Be
that
good for
be
a season, fade off a little bit, then come back, be good for another season, and be that type of wide receiver where he has a few high-end wide receiver 2, maybe a wide receiver 1 finish to his name, but also the variance is there when it doesn't click for him for the entire season. So if you have a chance to get a quarterback in Superflex over a guy like that, then you take the quarterback all day.
But you named 2 guys that it wasn't necessarily a production issue. They both Tyrell in his career and Shark so far have dealt with injuries.
And that happens a lot of times with the hyper athletic prospects.
Sure.
The hyper athletic prospects, they do get injured a fair amount.
Well, maybe it won't for Watson.
Unless you're Calvin Johnson.
He's not from this planet.
Yeah. All right. Now, do you want to talk about Drake London?
Well, we can keep. We
do have a one-on-one we have to get to later as well.
True, we got some time.
So I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. Come on.
All right, Young Guns asked, do we value the 3rd round of the rookie draft? I mean, yeah, if you can get a high upside prospect. I mean, we were just talking about Christian Watson, just like these strong, athletic profiles. Now, Watson might not be available in the 3rd round, but yeah, I mean, if you can get Jelani Woods, they're stash and hope type of picks.
The 3rd round is where you go after running backs, because if you look at last year's draft, you were getting Khalil Herbert in the 3rd round. There was a possibility of you getting a Jarrett Patterson in the 3rd round. The wide receivers you were drafting in the 3rd round were maybe you got a shot at Nico Harris and you feel good. Maybe you got a shot at Anthony Schwartz and now you feel good about that. But for a year, you were kind of like, this might not work out. Who are some other wide receivers and tight ends that were getting drafted in the 3rd? It was
Jalen Darden.
You had Kellen Mond sometimes being drafted in the 3rd. Jalen Darden being drafted in the 3rd. Seth Williams and Josh Imahor-Tabebe, whatever his name was, who went to the Jags, I believe, going in the 3rd round last year. D. Eskridge going in the 3rd round sometimes
Dwayne
last
Eskridge.
year. De'Ami Brown. And a lot of these guys, you look at, if you have them on your team, Kylan Granson. If you have them on your team, you're like,
It's kind
Trey
of
McKitty went in the 3rd round. You have him on your team, you're like, the team's probably going to always want somebody better at that position. It's probably never going to be that guy. So
target either Jelani Woods or a running back in a sneaky situation. Sneaky good situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's value to be had. For sure. And yeah, if the Bills draft another receiver, which they could, they're at the point now where they can just make luxury picks.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them go after a guy like Julio Jones as well.
Like a veteran name where it's like he's trying to latch on to a team who's clearly ready to or not ready to contend, is contending.
They're not scared of going after veterans. When John Brown went on to the Bills, he was technically a veteran at that point. Stephon Diggs, while he was still a young receiver, was a 4-year vet, I believe, by the time he got traded to the to the Bills. Cole Beasley was 32 last year, was operating as their wide receiver 2 for many points throughout the season.
Emmanuel Sanders.
Right, Emmanuel Sanders too, 35, 36-year-old wide receiver. Now they have Jamison Crowder in there, 28-year-old wide receiver. A few years ago, if you remember, this very same regime was all in on getting Antonio Brown to come in and be their wide receiver 1.
That's right.
And then he went to the Raiders and froze his foot and went a little ape shit for a while.
Yeah, a little bit.
But this is a team that values the vets,
the veteran
at wide receiver. So I could see them going after a guy like AJ Green, Julio Jones.
AJ Green would make sense. He looked like he still had a little something last year.
Yeah.
So.
And again, win now move, 1 year you deal. Yeah. Those are my 2 cents on that situation. But yeah, man, that's a great trade for Gabe Davis earlier. Absolutely.
Yep.
Alec Pierce has a great profile.
Yes, he does.
I believe he has RAS in the 9.5s, but let's just hope he's just the next great wide receiver.
mean, he had a great breakout age. He's got, I mean, his athletic score, his athletic profile is strong as hell. Running a 4.4 at 6'3". Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he could be Eric Decker. He could be, if you're going by your criteria, the next best wide receiver. He could be, if you're going
did
by
Eric
that
Decker
criteria.
run a 4.4?
Eric Decker he didn't. He ran a little slower than that. But Eric
Okay.
Decker, Jordy Nelson, he could be up there. He's a faster version of the same size of guy. So, for what that's worth. And Young Guns, you think Garrett Wilson will hit 1,000 yards receiving in his rookie season?
There we go. Now we're talking.
I like that.
Now we're talking.
You got Terry McLaurin in the 4th. Yeah, see? Hey, hyper-athletic wide receiver in this year's draft in the 4th round. If you guys have a 4th round pick, go after a guy like Isaiah Weston. He is the only wide receiver prospect in history that has a higher RAS than Calvin Johnson. So everybody likes Christian Watson. He might find himself drafted in the late 2nd. But you can get a guy with the same level of upside, technically more upside than him, probably in the 4th right now.
Mm-hmm.
Another guy I'm looking at the wide receiver position in the 4th round. In the 3rd round, I'm looking at running backs. In the 4th round, I'm looking at who's the most athletic guy on the board still. And
so look up RAS scores for the names.
Yeah, Alec Pierce might be one of those guys. Daniel Bellinger at tight end might be one of those guys. Charlie Kolar at tight end might be one of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Pierre Strong might be one of those guys if he's not drafted earlier.
I think he's going to be a riser.
Isaiah Weston is absolutely my target in the 4th round.
Pierre Strong is your 3rd round pick. Young, there's the running back to target in the 3rd round.
If Kevin Harris isn't there or Kevin White.
No, you were right the first time. This time you were.
But yeah, man, go get Terry in the 4th. This year, that might be Isaiah Weston.
There you go.
I don't know if Trevor Lawrence and Malik Willis are generational talents.
I think Lawrence is. I don't know about Malik Willis.
I mean,
the tools are there.
Good. We don't know because he had to outperform terrible coaching in Urban Meyer. But
right. I still believe in Lawrence as a prospect.
I do.
Can't quite put Willis on that plateau. But to get back to the rest of our rookie rankings really quickly.
I'm still waiting to hear you crap all over Drake London.
I'm not gonna crap all over him. I don't know. I have reservations. I'd much prefer. I'd rather have Chris Olave over him.
Yes.
Now, where I'm not sure what to do is between London and Jamison Williams. London is going to get drafted much higher than Jamison Williams. Jamison Williams is coming off the torn ACL. Ligament damage is more concerning than a fractured ankle. So I think I would still put Drake London ahead of Jamison Williams. There's just other prospects I like more than Drake London. A lot of people seem to be enamored with Drake London, and every single one of these guys that we have ranked ahead of him, I prefer the competition that they played against who Drake London went up against. I know London absolutely exploded as far as his per game production, but when you play in the Pac-12, you better explode. Competition's just not as good. In the SEC or the Big Ten. Malik Willis is he's just a quarterback, so quarterbacks can come from anywhere. I would take Drake London around 107, 108. There's just other players with I think more upside. And if London's going to go as high as we expect him to, then that landing spot's not going to be super attractive.
Drake London, his appeal is 99 percentile breakout age, 1,000 yards, more than 1,000 yards in only 8 games last year, and he's really young.
Yeah.
Not only does he have the incredible breakout age, he's coming out early, which is something that we both like from our wide receiver prospects.
You like early declares, yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I mean Drake London, the archetype on him, he has to be a very certain type of wide receiver and go to a very certain type of team for him to maximize his value, or else we could be looking at Drake London like Devontae Parker, Mike Williams, and or somebody who, if it takes them a while, it takes them 4 years, 5 years until they hit their age apex from a wide receiver standpoint, which is age 26, 27. Then they go off for maybe 2 seasons and then they fall back down to earth. That could be what you're looking at with Drake London. You could be waiting a long time. Now he could also be, he has the upside of being another Michael Pittman, Mike Evans type. He does. Mm-hmm. So when people make that correlation between those two guys, it's not I mean, they are tall 6'4", 6'5" wide receivers, but it's tough.
Yeah,
you have to go to a good team to be that type of guy and succeed. You have to go to Jameis Winston and then Ryan Fitzpatrick and then Tom Brady, all gunslingers. That's helped Mike Evans a lot. We saw what Carson Wentz did to Michael Pittman. Held him back. He was a top 10 wide receiver last year, and then Carson Wentz went into the bucket. The whole offense did with him outside of Jonathan Taylor, and that held back Michael Pittman Jr. So Drake London is more landing spot dependent, yes.
More than any of these other top guys.
Where Jameson Williams is less so.
Yeah. Real quick, got some breaking news.
What's that?
Wide receiver Brandon Cooks has agreed to a new 2-year extension to stay with the Houston Texans.
Well, okay then. Interesting.
Man, go buy Brandon Cooks. This might bring his value down a little bit. A lot of people
go buy Nico Collins. This is going to bring his value down more than a little bit.
Sure. Go offer a 4th rounder for him.
Because Brandon Cooks, hyper-productive, hyper-targeted Brandon Cooks is going to be there for the foreseeable future.
For 2 more years.
So he just got Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer got the same thing happen. He was very good towards the end of last year. Mike Williams gets re-signed there for 3 years. Everybody's trying to trade away Josh Palmer.
Yep. Yeah,
Same thing's going to happen now with Nico Collins. Now's the time to buy Nico Collins on the cheap, because if you're playing the long game here, yeah.
I would say you could buy either one of them.
I'd buy both.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I wouldn't flip it. I wouldn't trade a 3rd for Nico, but or would you?
I would trade a 3rd for Nico. Yeah.
I like Nico Collins. I'm wondering if you can get away with I'll throw a 4th at you.
Very strong RAS. If there's any growth in that offense, they lost a tight end. Now it's just Brevin Jordan, who doesn't have the greatest RAS. So if you're thinking he's going to become a great producer at tight end, you're probably wrong. He will be somewhere around the tight end 2 range moving forward and for the foreseeable future.
Like a top 24, yeah. Not top
24 to top 12. I don't believe it's going to break into the top 12 is what I'm saying.
No, maybe like tight end 15.
But Nico Collins could, I mean, he's only wide receiver 2 there.
Right. He could easily be a wide receiver 3 with upside.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, go buy Nico.
Nico Collins could be Gabe Davis in a bad offense. Gabe Davis we like because he's tied to a good offense for a long time. But if Gabe Davis were tied to a bad offense, he'd be Nico Collins.
We'd be looking at him like Nico Collins, yeah.
Right. Would you be all the way out on him in such a situation? I wouldn't.
No.
It would suck for his value for a little bit. But again, we're not playing in 2 to 3 year windows with wide receivers.
Right. You can play with a much longer window.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, yeah. Throw a 3rd out there for Nico Collins. See if it hits.
Cool.
So there you go. Brandon Cooks re-signs with the Texans. Trade for either one. I don't care.
Boom.
Anyway, did we wrap up on Drake London?
Drake London, and then we're running it out because, I mean, Jameson Williams was there too, and you said you have him at 6 and Drake London at 7, and I would say right now it's landing spot dependent because whereas, I mean, Jameson Williams, he did run a 40 at the Combine, but that's also coming off of an injury. He ran a 4.47 on a recovered ACL tear. Still recovering from an ACL tear.
Yeah, he's rising.
Jameson Williams is going to be a difference maker in this league. Drake London, we have yet to see him test athletically because he's working his way back from an injury.
From the ankle, yep.
Right. So until we see him test athletically, which we might not see until the draft, we might see that after the draft. Landing spot, how Drake London tests athletically. Because of those two things, we have Jameson Williams ahead of Drake London. They can change depending on where they go and what ends up happening with Drake London's pro day or next show of athletic measurables publicly. But who do you have at 8?
Well, I guess I should say I'm thinking about flipping Williams to 7 and London to 8.
There you go. Okay.
So there you go.
Sorry, I was looking at 1 QB.
Oh, sorry.
In 1 QB, I have the 2 running backs and then 5 wide receivers and then Malik Willis at 8.
That's
and
fine.
And then in 2 QB, we just went over Jameson Williams, who was my 8th player.
Yeah, I can get on board with that for 1 quarterback as well. I think at some point you have to take Malik Willis in the first round if it's 1 quarterback. Yeah.
Teardrop.
But then after that, say around like the 109, I think I would go Pickens.
At the 109 in 2 QB, I have in my rankings Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
Because again, quarterback.
Fine.
If this guy has a chance, if Kenny Pickett can be a slightly faster Ryan Tannehill, which is what he projects to be.
Yeah.
A slightly faster Ryan Tannehill with smaller hands. I don't care. A slightly faster Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, I don't care about
the little hands.
If he can be that, and Ryan Tannehill was for 2 seasons, before last season when everything fell apart in Tennessee from a passing perspective, he had come off QB 8 to QB 7 finishes in the 2 years before that. If Kenny Pickett can do that for a string of years for me, I'd rather have Kenny Pickett. Because I bet you, same principle in Superflex. If Kenny Pickett hits, or even if he's just a question mark quarterback for the next few seasons, you can trade him for George Pickens plus. You can.
Yeah.
So in Superflex, Kenny Pickett in 1 QB, here I have Rachaad White over George Pickens. George Pickens in 1 QB I have at 110.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I can get on board with Pickett in Superflex being a top 10 pick. I like the long-term outlook of Pickens. So for 1 quarterback, he would be my 109.
George Pickens feels to me like a taller Rashad Bateman.
Who the jury is still out on.
Jury's still out on. I'm still high on Rashad Bateman.
Yeah.
But to me, Rashad Bateman has a ceiling.
Yeah, in a good way.
And Pickens being down this low is indicative of him having lesser of a ceiling than the 5 guys that we have ahead of him.
Okay.
So he's not as much of the guarantee. He's more landing spot dependent right now. If he goes to the Lions, we don't like that at all. If he goes to the Packers, we absolutely love him, and some people might throw him up to the wide receiver too. They get a little crazy. We would not advocate for that, but it could happen. But with a player that's so landing spot dependent, I would rather have the 3rd best running back in this class in 1 QB leagues. And that's Rachaad White. It's not Isaiah Spiller.
No, I think Isaiah Spiller is like I might stick him in at the 112. But I don't feel confident about that.
No, Rachaad White, 98th percentile college target share.
Yeah, you like that a lot.
4.48 40 time. So he's fast.
Also good.
very good receiver, and he's 6 foot, 219 pounds, I believe.
I thought he was 6'2".
Is he?
Rachaad White. Yeah, he's 6'2". He's a tall running back. It's not bad. That's not a bad thing.
I have him down as 6 foot, 214.
Okay. You see him here at 6'2".
But I mean, what that projects at the high end, a guy with that level of receiving ability in a larger backs build with 4.48 speed looks like David Johnson if he hits his ceiling.
Which correlates because David Johnson was an older prospect when he came out as well. Rachaad White is already 23.
Right.
So there might be a smaller window for him, but the makeup is obviously what you're looking for in today's NFL as far as a running back goes.
Yeah. I like him a lot. I was never thinking he was going to be my RB3 in this draft. He's my RB3 in this draft.
There we are. No, I mean the target share is obviously a big one. The fact that he's 23 years old, and he'll be 23 for the entire 2022 season. I think he's got an early January birthday. Well, maybe like week 18 or whatever. He turns 24.
He's a slightly smaller Latavius Murray, who could be more along the lines of a Leonard Fournette.
We would take that
as a running back who can receive the ball and will be productive late in his career because he can extend his career because he's so good in the pass game.
Mm-hmm.
He has the size plus the receiving that we like to see. I mean, what is he Antonio Gibson like? I think he might be Antonio Gibson like.
Yeah, there you go. He just needs to go to a team that doesn't already have a satellite backer that use in that role, which is basically every team these days. So,
yeah, slightly lighter Antonio Gibson. And who signs Geis? Slim? Nobody.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
I don't see it. I think it's over for him. I mean, he's still only 24, but there's a lot of baggage there.
Yeah.
Washington, maybe they bring him back.
I mean, you would hate to see that 4-year Antonio Gibson.
I'm just,
whatever.
I was in jest.
It would be a Washington move.
Yeah.
But all right, so now we're at 10 here because at 9 at 8 in one QB I had Malik Willis, then Rachaad White at 9, then George Pickens at 10.
Yep.
And in 2 QB I had Jameson Williams Drake London
8.
at 8 / Jameson Williams at 8 depending. Then Kenny Pickett at 9, and then Rachaad White at 10. And George Pickens would come in at 11.
Would you round it out with Isaiah Spiller, or are you like totally off him?
In 1 QB, I go 10 George Pickens, 11 Jahan Dotson, 12 Zamir White, and those two are landing spot dependent and team need dependent. If you're at 11 and you need running back and you just missed out on Rachaad White, then go and get Zamir White. That's fine. 4.4 speed, 95th percentile speed score, but a bruiser.
Right.
A bruiser too, and he did that 4.4 coming off of 2 torn ACLs to both legs.
That's tough.
Yeah, so he ran a lot faster than I thought and most people thought he was going to at the combine. He surprised us. So picking him in at 11 is fine. If you need a wide receiver though, Jahan Dotson at 11 could be.
I like Dotson.
Poor man's Tyler Lockett. 90th percentile dominator rating, 95th percentile college target share. Could be Tyler Lockett. He's 5'11", 178 pounds, I believe. So not the size, speed specimen, or even 6 foot, which we like to see from our wide receivers. But wide receivers who are 5'11" can still get it done. I believe he has 4.43 speed. So I like Jahan Dotson too. So in 1 QB, Dotson or White, depending on what you need.
I think that sounds about
What do
right
you
for
got?
Dotson. I'm pretty much in the same boat. I would put Dotson. So in one quarterback after Malik Willis, it would be Williams. I think I still like Pickens. I could go Rashad White at 11. And I'm intrigued by the upside that Dotson brings to the table. So I'd probably round him out with 12 in one quarterback. And then
How about two quarterback?
In super flex, I like the idea of Pickett in that 8-9 range. Did you have Pickett ahead of Jameson Williams?
I had Jameson Williams at 7, 8 with Drake London.
8 London. Sorry.
Right.
Okay. That's
then
what. Yeah, I'm in the
Pickett,
same boat there. 9
10
Pickett.
Rashad White, 11 George Pickens. And again, those two, it's dependent on what you need more of.
Sure.
If you need a running back, then go Rashad White. If you need a wide receiver and both of them are on the board, don't be afraid to go Pickens.
Would you round out 12? Would you round out 12 with Corral?
Desmond Ridder for me.
Ridder over Corral.
And then at 201, if I have 201, then it's Matt Corral.
Then Corral.
And 202, if I miss out, then it's Sam Howell.
Over Dotson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because if Dotson does turn into Tyler Lockett, which is what the comp is for him, which would be a great
best
that
case.
would be best case scenario, right?
Yeah.
You're not trading Tyler Lockett straight up for anything but a mediocre quarterback. Probably a bottom 12 quarterback. Because even if I have a middling quarterback, Tua was a middling quarterback last year.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no way I was accepting Tyler Lockett. And who's a younger version of Tyler Lockett? Of Van Jefferson? You couldn't have traded Van Jefferson to me for Tua Tagovailoa last year. And Tua was a QB2.
Yeah.
And you see the point I'm trying to make.
The quarterback value is just stronger.
Again, quarterback
even
value
if they're
is
not
stronger.
that great.
I like Jahan Dotson a lot, but in 2 QB,
yeah.
If I don't
That's
have
fair.
a quarterback in the first round, and there's a quarterback that isn't Bailey Zappi, sorry, dude.
Sorry,
Isn't
Bailey.
Bailey Zappi available to me in the second round? I'm picking that guy. Doesn't matter who he is.
Ridder, Corral, Howell.
If I get faster Baker Mayfield, okay.
Sure, fine.
Baker Mayfield
Plug
was
him
a
in.
QB2 again. QB2.
Yeah, yep.
You
Plug him
couldn't
as a
trade a
QB2 here and there.
for. If you traded me Elijah Moore last year, I'd be giving you a QB2. You couldn't get a QB1 for Elijah Moore.
No, and that's just a result of the positional scarcity.
If Jahan Dotson turns into Elijah Moore,
which would
you'd be trading Elijah Moore for what? Mitchell Trubisky right now in a super flex?
Nah, better than that.
Mitchell Trubisky in a second then. I'd rather have a chance at a quarterback.
Nah, it's got to be better than that. Trubisky's a bridge at this point in his career.
Okay, maybe I'm not giving.
And Elijah Moore is 21.
Maybe I'm giving Mitchell Trubisky in the quarterback weight a little bit too much.
Like you just talked about Tyler Lockett, who's what, 30 now or approaching it. Okay, fine. Him for Trubisky and a second, and maybe not at the second. Trubisky in like a third. Okay, fine.
Okay, fine. All right. Well,
because Lockett's 30.
I agree with you. All right, then
Elijah Moore can net you more than Mitchell.
Then Kirk
Trubisky.
Cousins.
Fine. Okay, there you go. Fine.
Elijah Moore would net you Kirk Cousins. Maybe
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins in a second.
Yeah, I would ask for a pick just because of Cousins' age. He's over 30 at this point.
But still, if you're getting that guy at 23, 24 in Sam Howell or whatever, and he turns out to be that guy, and he's young, you don't have to pay that second.
Right. All right, fair enough.
I traded away Mac Jones for a 2023 second and Rashad Bateman and someone else, I believe, in a league. And again, that was right on the heels of Rashad Bateman being a first-round pick in a league. Quarterbacks. But all right. So you wanna go through these one more time for everybody before we?
Yeah, we can do that.
And are we doing 12 or 13 through 24 next time we meet up? You want to round out the second round?
We can do that, or we can take a shot at it.
Yeah.
Take a shot at it. But yeah, okay. So I think for one quarterback, Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, right?
I had Kenneth Walker.
Oh, sorry. Walker at 2, then Wilson, then Burks.
But honestly, talking it over, I would probably put Wilson over Walker.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just thinking at the time, position scarcity.
Then
we went over the warts that Kenneth Walker has. And they're more glaring than at first glance. So Garrett over Walker.
So one quarterback, Hall, Wilson, Walker at 3 or Burks at 3? Walker at 3. I'm not opposed to that. I still like. We dissected the hell out of Walker, but I still like him as a prospect.
Yeah.
Then Burks at 4, Olave 5, Williams 6, London 7, Malik Willis 8.
Williams and London are at 6 and 7, are tied at 6 for me.
Okay.
Until we see landing spot and see Drake London's athleticism on display.
I'll put Williams at 6, London at 7. Willis 8. You had Rashad White at 9. I had Pickens at 9.
Yep.
And flip-flop them for 10. You have Pickens at 10. I have Rashad White at 10. At 11.
But I had that distinction there where, like, if you had a need at wide receiver, I have no problem with you picking George Pickens over Rashad White.
There you go. At 11, did you have and then 11, 12 again in one quarterback, depending on what you need, some combination of Zamir White or Jahan Dotson
or Jelani Woods, yes.
Woods. And I can get on board with that as well. I think I like Jahan Dotson. Again, this is one quarterback league, so I would put him at 11, and then I would put Zamir White at 12. Yeah. Isaiah Spiller is out of the first round for both of us. He's been a big time faller. So that's one quarterback. Superflex, we got Hall at 1. I am still, and maybe this is ballsy and maybe a little short-sighted, and you can roast me if I end up being wrong on this, but I still have Wilson at 2. John has Malik Willis at 2. And flip-flop them for us.
I believe it's, again, a risk tolerance thing. If
risk
you don't
tolerance,
have the risk tolerance for it, Garrett Wilson is the pick at 102. If you have the risk tolerance for the potential reward at quarterback, considering how big and how valuable that reward can be in Superflex, you got Malik Willis at 2 if you believe that Malik Willis can be anything approximating what we expect from him or what we're projecting from him in Jalen Hurts with an arm.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I don't disagree with having Wilson at 2.
So there you go.
But it
depends on what you
for that position for quarterback with the tools that he brings to the table. I'm willing to put some eggs in that bucket.
You put him at 2. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. In Superflex, John's got Willis at 2. I have him at 3. I have Wilson at 2. You have Wilson at 3.
Yes.
Kenneth Walker at 4.
I have Treylon Burks at 4. Kenneth Walker at 5.
So you have Walker ahead.
That's where we were talking. I have Burks ahead of Walker.
Okay, I thought you said in one quarterback.
Burks can still be wide receiver 1 in the class. He can. I don't think Kenneth Walker can be wide receiver 1. This is in the conversation when we started dissecting Kenneth Walker.
Yeah. No, I thought in one. Yeah. I thought you said for one quarterback you had Walker at 3 and Burks at 4.
No, in one quarterback I have Walker at 2. And I said I'd be cool with putting Garrett Wilson at 2 and Walker at 3.
Okay, I'm confused how you have...
In 2 QB, I have Kenneth Walker at 5. Treylon Burks at 4.
Okay. All right, got it.
Yeah.
Got it. I'll go Walker at 4 in Superflex. Burks at 5, although that feels like a steal. Olave at 6. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, same conversation for one quarterback with Jamison Williams and Drake London. Just bump down a spot in Superflex 7 and 8.
Yep.
9, Kenny Pickett, which I can get on board with. And then 10, you have Rachaad White. I would put George Pickens. And then 11, 12, that's where we start getting into the other quarterbacks. Your Corral, Desmond Ridder, Corral, Sam Howell at that like 11, 12, 2-1 turn. Maybe if you could use, if you need, if you're really deficient at either running back or wide receiver, you could take either a Pickens or a Rachaad White over one of those quarterbacks, but you better be pretty loaded at quarterback to do it. Or at least, very secure.
Yeah. And the reason why I have Rachaad White and George Pickens in a small tier ahead of the rest of the quarterbacks in Desmond Ridder and Matt Corral, or basically whoever you like of the rest of the guys behind Willis and Pickett. The reason why I have Rachaad White and George Pickens there is because Rachaad White, again, he comps comparatively to a David Johnson if he reaches his ceiling. And David Johnson was the RB1, I believe, in a year. So if there's a possibility of getting a overall RB1 on a year in the future in a guy,
then it's worth
at
it.
10, then it's worth it ahead of a crapshoot at quarterback.
Sure.
George Pickens can be, if he hits his ceiling, an alpha outside wide receiver a la AJ Green.
AJ Green, yeah.
Something like that. He can be if he reaches his absolute ceiling. So that's, again, why I have him over the rest of the quarterbacks. But after those guys, it's basically run on quarterbacks. Once you hit the second round, once you hit 112 and or the second round, it's run on quarterbacks. So get your guy.
Yep. Secure one.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, well, hey, thanks everybody for chilling.
It's our 1
Yo,
through
Hunter
12.
L, what's going on?
Hunter.
Going on, Alex? We would love to do a rookie Superflex mock draft. I was thinking of trying to do that this stream, but I had too much to figure out with the new interface and the new outlook that we have going on right now to figure that out. But that will be something that we will entertain doing in the future because it was something that was already on our
Can we set that
agenda.
up on Sleeper where it's like a public invite to just do I
believe so, yeah. Yep.
Pretty sure you can. So maybe that is something we
so
look
hey,
into.
Maybe it would be cool if we did it with you guys. So maybe we can. That might be something on the member stream, honestly.
Maybe that's something on Wednesday.
Yeah.
I don't hate that idea at all.
Alex, Hunter, L, Slim, y'all join us. Rojo.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
You can do it there.
We'll figure it out. That sounds good to me.
But yeah, I think that about wraps this one up.
I think so.
Top 12 in both formats. This was fun to go through because I got a little bit of value out of talking to you about guys like Garrett Wilson, about guys like Jamison Williams over Drake London and Chris Olave, potentially even over Treylon Burks, and the value of Kenneth Walker. So this has been good. I'm excited to see your thoughts on some of these guys that are going to be available in the second round, because
this is where it becomes a real crapshoot.
Right, you're going to have some names that I'm not going to have there. I'm going to have some names that you're not going to have there all together, not just at different spots in our rankings. So it'll be interesting.
No, this is good mental exercise, some mental gymnastics today. So hopefully this was helpful for everybody. Maybe something that we look to do. Could do next Tuesday, barring anything crazy going on, or we could keep it consistent and make it, a week from now. But we'll figure that out. We got time to figure that out, and then maybe Wednesday is something where we do a little mock draft, and really get the juices flowing. I think that about does it. I don't know if Mike is still in here, but we had a one-on-one scheduled for him last night. Unfortunately, it fell through because we were again dealing with some technical stuff. So,
right.
Mike, if you're in here, hop on the Discord after we shut this down. We'll set up a one-on-one. Any other members who are interested in talking through their team with us, we'll set up a one-on-one with you guys as well. We can figure out time again in the Discord. If you're not a part of the Discord and you want to be, there is a link in the description of this video and every description of all of our videos. We can continue the conversation there. You don't have to be a member to join the Discord. We can keep the fantasy conversation going. If anybody's got questions or things that you want to talk about, happy to continue the conversation over there.
Slim, thank you very much for joining our YouTube channel today.
Yes, sir.
That was a fun thing to walk into the stream too. So appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who liked the video. Those always help. Keep an eye out for, it will be a shorter video, but a members-only RAS video on running backs. I know we went over it a little bit in the members-only stream, but I wanted to do a little bit more of an in-depth analysis to show you guys what I was talking about there. And then also, considering RAS isn't a good real projector for running back success in the league, I want to find a metric that is, so that we can use it to kind of sleuth out the running backs in the future. So I'll be dropping that soon, so keep an eye out for it if you are a member. But yo, we will have a great weekend. We will see you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good weekend, everybody.
We'll see you on the Discord too.
That as well.
All right, take it easy, y'all.
See you guys.